wrong tune in the wrong key. Gig nightmares for you and me. Song changed keys and I wasn't ready. Gig nightmares for you and me. Another key change, oh God, oh no. Gig nightmares for you and me.
All right, gig nightmares. Here we are with Mr. Nathaniel Kinsey. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
So we've known each other for, a good amount of time, as you were just alluding to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because, my dad would just take me to see shows all the time. And as you were mentioning, going to see Def Leppard. But I remember the one time talking to you, I think it may have been the Enough's Enough concert. And you were telling me about a gig that you played. And then I would later find out that it's pretty much kind of like a viral video that gets shared every few months or so on like the Facebook groups like Cover Band Central and stuff like that.
I mean, so, I think was your dad at that show?
I don't know. So like, was that an opening gig?
I used to see him at so many shows. I can't remember 100%, but I almost think he was there. You should ask him.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to ask him. But so anyways, the video, at least on YouTube, it says, "Band breaks up live on stage, ... Hilarious." And it's got something around 250,000 views. I think you said there was a version of that video floating around that had over 1 million views at one point. So I'm curious.
If you added them all up, it would be more because initially, well, we'll get into the backstory when you're ready of how that video even exists. Well, should I get into that now or?
Sure. Like, I'm just curious because watching that, it's just, it's a nightmare. It's the perfect example of gig nightmare. So,
well, the funny thing about it though, is to me, I've seen other quote rage quit videos that I think are way funnier because they're more real. Now it was real to the three of us in the band, but Jim, the guy that quit, he did it to manufacture a viral video.
Wait, so he had that pretty much planned, just to do like a big sort of thing like that?
This is like right when smartphones are starting to come out. So he borrowed an HD camera from somebody at his one job and had one of his friends film it and did it on purpose, unbeknownst to us. Because, we knew that band was breaking up and this was going to be the last show of that lineup, and that's what he chose to do with it. And initially, the original video was on his YouTube channel. Now, this is my opinion, but I think it's true, that he ended up with a band called the Sunset Villains that they thought they were going to get signed or something, and they had management, and I'm pretty sure that his management told him that wouldn't be a good look for him, so it was taken down from his channel, but not before it was copied to another person's channel, and that's the one that's currently up that says "Guitarist Quits Band on Stage." It has all those millions of views. But yeah, he did that on purpose, and that's why if you really look at the video, it's a very controlled rage quit. That ain't no rage quit,
Okay, so you guys knew that this was going to be the last gig. So what was the lead up to that? Obviously you guys didn't expect any of that to happen. So what was the lead up to that moment?
Well, the lead up to it is, I think Jim, and me and Jim are all right again, so I don't want to come across as smack talking, but I have to tell it like it was. I think pretty much everything that Jim was doing at the time, I don't think he was really committed to anything that we were doing. I think everything was just a stepping stone because Jim wants to be famous. Jim will do anything to get famous. And, I feel that he thought that our band had gone as far as it was going to go, although that was our first show opening for a national, so I don't know why he wouldn't see maybe where that was going, but he just wanted to take, and this is my opinion, you could have him on sometime and he could have a rebuttal, but my opinion was he wanted to take the shortcut to being famous, and he thought a viral video would be the way to do it, and being that he was angry with me, there you go. And why he was angry with me at the time, it might have been a few things, but the straw that broke the camel's back is we had a bass player, and he had his girlfriend and his girlfriend's sister over, and I forget which one it was, but Jim just started freaking out on this one girl, and I don't really know the backstory, but I said something to Jim like, "Hey, that's not cool. Matt brings these girls over, and you're like," yelling at him, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but he basically told me, that he's quitting the band right then and there, and that, and if I want to play this show, I'll shut the fuck up. And so I did just that. I was real vindictive. I wasn't playing guitar in that band, so I would just show up every day, plant my mic stand down, sing the songs. I wore my mirrored shades. I wouldn't look at him. I would just sing the songs, and I'd leave. I'd leave while the band was still playing the final few bars of the last song. So I did that for a month or two. I don't remember what it is. And then that show came, and I knew we were in trouble the minute we got to the show. And instead of having a Stratocaster and having his Marshall stack, he had this little Marshall practice amp, and he had this First Act, which is like the Walmart brand of guitars. I'm like, what is he going to do here? And I thought he was going to go out in a blaze of glory at the end, but I didn't think he'd do it second song in.
That was only the second song?
Yeah, and the reason he did it is at that time I was writing original songs, but we did 2 covers in our set. And I love Bon Jovi. I grew up with Bon Jovi, but honestly, the reason I did that song was sort of a wink wink because I have the Bon Jovi hair, so it was kind of me being in on the joke of, okay, I have the hair. Okay, girls, I'm going to sing a Bon Jovi song now. But he did that because that's what makes it funnier. Me with the hair, launching into a very cliche 80s hit, it gave fuel to it. So I wish I still had it because the bouncers gave me that guitar after the show. And when I moved the one time, I just left it behind, and I probably should have kept it because I guess it's kind of a thing I probably should have held on to, but I don't have it anymore. But for years, I had the guitar he threw off the stage.
Yeah, that's a piece of internet history right there.
Yeah, I guess I should have kept it, but it was a piece of shit that wouldn't stay in tune, so I just kind of left it. So,
do you remember which national act you were opening for?
Stephen Pearcy from Ratt solo.
Maybe my dad was at that show because I know he saw him at Reverb at least once or twice.
I think he was. Now he might have not have been there when the thing happened. He might have been a little later, but I know this is over a decade back, but I almost think I saw him there.
But I think at least to Jim's point, at least, there's plenty of like viral videos of different bands or like crazy things happening or whatever. Like, I know there's like a video of like some, I guess, sort of metalcore band, and the guy tries doing a guitar flip, but the strap lock breaks off, so it just goes like sailing 20 feet behind him. And like that's a pretty viral video from probably 15 years ago or so. But I don't think anything ever really became of that band, or if they did, I'm not aware of them. And similarly, something like 10 years ago, there was like a DIY show being done at a Denny's. I'm pretty sure it was a Denny's after hours or whatever. There's just like this metal band playing, and the singer just yells, "What the fuck is up, Denny's?" And it's like, it's a viral video, but I don't think having a viral video alone really brings a band success. Because like, from what I'm aware of, that band is still going, but like, other than like having that viral video, it doesn't really relate and doesn't translate to having more fans.
It doesn't do anything. I, to this day, am completely anonymous in regards to that video. Nobody knows. Every now and then I'll meet somebody, and if it comes up, they'll be like, "Oh my God, I saw that video. That was you?" That'll happen every day. But I've never been recognized from the video. And none of us, it didn't do anything for anybody. It just, it was funny. It ended up on Ridiculousness because then I could make the quip like, "Oh, well," I said to my brother, because he was the drummer in that band. I'm like, "Well, we always wanted to be on MTV when we were little kids. Just be careful what you wish for. We got there. It wasn't quite the way you thought it was going to be." I don't know what Jim thought he was. I thought he was going to get some kind of personal notoriety from it or something, but
that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense either, because like, let's say if it's like someone like Paul Stanley or whatever, where he smashes the guitar at the end of every Kiss show, and like that's just okay, you're the cool rock star doing that sort of thing, like that's cool, I guess. But like when you're just like kind of whether you're pissed off or not, obviously he was trying to like quote unquote rage quit with that. But even if you're doing that, it doesn't really make you more likable or whatever. It's like, I love Yngwie Malmsteen, but like, I don't really like him being a drama queen.
Yeah, exactly. And I just felt that I just felt like we were breaking up or whatever, but I just wanted to do the show, do as good as we could, and then we were going to look for another guitar player, and then he was going to do his thing. But I thought it would have been better for him to just play the show, to just, I don't know, just have a show. You open for a national, you can say that at least, you know. And later we did regroup, and we played with a couple more nationals until that band fell apart, because bands fall apart.
What was the name of the band? I couldn't find that anywhere.
Oh, dear God, it's embarrassing. It was Winter's Mistress.
Oh, where's that name come from?
A line from one of my songs that I'm ashamed that I wrote called Ice Queen that did end up on my first album, but I'm like, God, that fucking cheeseball metal shit I was trying to do at the time. I'm like, dear God, I'm a much better writer now, but it worked then. You know, I was trying to lay into that more, not only hair, but heavy metal, like, you know, 80s heavy metal type of things, where now I'm not really, I mean, I still like metal, but I'm not really writing that sort of thing. And something as tacky as that, I probably wouldn't do. But people like that song, though, so I guess what do I know? I'm embarrassed, but everyone seems to love it. But
I mean, I sent you a message when that came out, which crazy to think that's already 7-8 years ago. But I remember sending you a message saying I liked Ice Queen.
oh, dear God, you like that? I mean, look, as a song, maybe it's a banger. I just don't really like the words that much. And it's like, I'm very bouge about the words these days. So, you know, the song that comes before that, a lot of people like too. And it's got a great guitar riff, but I just think the words are trash, so I'm hard on it. But probably a lot of guys that write things are like that, especially when they start getting better at it. I was just going to say, I guess, you know, I should be happy if anybody likes anything that I did, you know, whether I cringe a little or not. So I'm still thankful that people like some things, even if I'm a little cringe, if I cringe a little when I hear it.
So how long have you actually been playing in bands, you know, I guess professionally, semi-professionally? How long have you been doing it?
To be perfectly honest with you, I've been kind of a failure at it my entire life. Like, I've been playing since I was like 10, 11 years old with different guys, and nothing ever got anywhere. So it's kind of weird that now I have, you know, solo albums out that have my name on it, but that wasn't from an ego trip. That was out of frustration because, you know, I've been trying to get bands going for years, and, you know, I was the drummer in all these bands, and eventually, you know, I started playing other instruments, and I started writing songs more or less because I wasn't happy with the songs other people were writing in the bands, and I guess I thought I could do better. So every one of these bands would fall apart, and then the band with Jim, when that fell apart, one of my other buddies talked me into recording the stuff I had, so I'm like, all right. And I decided when I put it out, since it was me playing all the instruments on it, except for most of the guitar solos, they were my friend that convinced me to record it. Since it was mostly me and I wrote every one of the songs myself, I'm like, I'm not going to come up with a fictitious band name. I just put my name on it. But then the problem was I was never going to play live. I had no intentions on playing live. But the guy that was running Telus 360 got a hold of me and said, hey, you put an album out, would you like to play a show? And I'm like, well, since I'm being offered one, I guess I'll form a band, which I felt kind of weird forming a band with it being my name, but I couldn't change it then because I already had a record out that I was trying to sell and make my money back on. So, you know, that's the brand name now. It's not, I feel kind of weird about that, and that's why I make so many jokes and things about myself, because I don't have that kind of ego. I could have been happy in a band, but it just didn't work out that way. And now I'm kind of established. I mean, not established. I'm still nobody, but the people that do know about me know it under that name. So I'm just keeping it like that. And I guess I kind of digressed off of your point, but I've been playing for a long time, but in the great scheme of things, I haven't done that many shows. You've done probably thousands of shows. I've done a handful because everything always seems to fall apart.
Well, when I reached out, I think I asked if, well, I mean, obviously, you know, there's the Reverb story. Do you have any other stories pertaining to gig nightmares and just, well, the nightmares of just even like trying to start a band? I told a story on one of the interviews I did over the summer. I was interviewing Odell Mickens from, you know, he played bass for the Tramps for about 30 years. And we were talking about how difficult it is to put a band together. I think it was about 2 years ago now, I was trying to put together a band, do like a top 40 cover band sort of thing. And trying to solidify the lineup was the hardest thing. We probably went through about seven or eight singers. The one guy we thought was going to be our singer, we find out he's actually a sex offender, so I had to fire him. And it's like, trying to put together a band is really, really hard. So I'm curious if you have like any sort of like anything to say about that.
The hardest thing for me is because I'm doing all originals, there's no money in it. So then it makes it even harder for me because I write all the songs and guys do not like that. But I don't write all the songs because I'm controlling. It's actually my writing process is backwards to everybody else's. I used to be in these bands where I was expected to write lyrics to their already existing music, and I'd just sit there drawing blanks. I write everything in my head. I just start singing a thing, start writing the lyrics, all the instrumentation forms in my head, and then I learn it. Actually, right before this call, I was doing a little scratch demo of something I wrote at work the other day. I just started singing it, wrote all the words on a piece of paper, sang it into my telephone, and today I figured out what chords are behind it, figured out the bass line I had in my head. So it's so trying to get band guys that want to play already existing material that's original where they don't really get a say in the arrangement, it's really tough for me. And I want to do it again because I'm recording a new album, and I'd just like to at least play a handful of shows. So I always have my brother on the drums. I have a guy in Philly that reached out to me. He really wants to play, and he really likes my stuff, so that's good, and he's a good guitar player. And he plays in some cover bands. He plays in an 80s cover band out of Philly called Main Attraction, and they're pretty good and everything. But I need to find a bass player, and that's going to be a problem. So may the force be with me on that. But I think that's why I have a lot of guys quit, because the format, I get it. They want to be a little more creative, and what I'm doing doesn't allow for that too much, so I understand it. But, I'm 40, I'll be 44 years old at the end of the month. I know I'm too old to get anywhere in music, but I want to play because I think it's fun. And, I think that's the fun part. Recording an album isn't fun. It's a lot of work, but I'd like to go out and play the songs because I think it's fun to get out and play live and see if you can get a reaction, especially from something that you wrote. And when I put the first album out, I got a pretty good reaction. We opened for Faster Pussycat. We opened for LA Guns, and the audience seemed to like it. And I sold some albums at the merch stand, so that was fun. I don't really have too many nightmares. Most of the clubs that I dealt with were really nice and everything. There's one club that I'm not going to name the name of right now because I just don't want to be talking smack, but there's one club though that I had a problem with because it's fine that they want you to sell tickets and everything, and I was okay with that, but what I wasn't okay with was they had me selling tickets and they were giving them away less than a mile down the road, and I kind of had at them for that because it really wasn't fair. I'm trying to sell tickets, which they want me to do, and then they end up giving away free passes at not only other record stores, but at another store that was just down the road. So I wasn't too happy about that, but everything else has been great. Tellus 360 was great. The Chameleon, which is no longer with us, was great. You know what I mean? I'd love to get into the Village now that they're operating again, and maybe that's a possibility, but sorry, I don't have any real great horror stories. It's just the usual band infighting that's not really exciting. You've been through it. Everybody's been through it.
Sure. Hey, honestly, I reach out to some people. People have just been doing it for decades and decades, and some of them say, I somehow don't have a single gig nightmare. And honestly, I just think, man, you are lucky.
Yeah, there's always nightmares. I mean, I will say this, the last show we played with my last band was a nightmare, but in the sense of my guitar went out of tune. I had one of them snark tuners. The battery went dead, right? Mm-hmm. So then no, it didn't go out of tune. A string broke. And then my snark tuner, the battery went dead. So I was having trouble tuning my other guitar. Then we had this guitar player that's one of these Yngwie Malmsteen wannabe kind of guys. And he wouldn't stop playing while I was trying to tune with the bass player because I had to tune by ear, which is fine. and he just kept going. So eventually I just gave up, threw the guitar down, just ended up singing the rest of the night without playing guitar. And it was a horrible show where the only people that were there were the family of the headline band, and they wouldn't even come say hello to us. They're just like talking amongst themselves. And it was just, I don't know. I decided I had enough for a few years after that one. So that was 2019. So if we end up playing again this year, it'll be, what is that? My God, that's 6 years already, isn't it? But I was just like, I've had enough of this because, well, we were working our way up, and, you know, we played with Faster Pussycat, we played with LA Guns, then that guitar player quit the band. We were going to get a gig with Kicks. It would have been a sold-out gig at the Chameleon. He quits the band where we have a sold-out show. I don't understand that. Guys quitting a band that's doing things, not stagnating. And because I had to say no to that, you know, sometimes when you say no, they don't give you another chance. They don't call you again. So I just got frustrated that we were moving our way down instead of up then. Anyway, I got gumption to try it one more time before I'm too old. And so going to try to get out there again when I release my record. Hopefully I can form a band, and hopefully they'll give us some opening slots and things. And that's pretty much that.
I mean, I think that's awesome. Like, even like at the end of the day, it has to be about passion. Because, I mean, I remember maybe when I was younger, I think my aunt or someone, when she heard that I was picking up guitar or whatever, she said something to me, "Oh, you're getting into music? That's great. There's a lot of money to be made there." But, you know, my aunt doesn't know anything about the music industry. So it's like,
Right.
I heard that. I'm thinking, is that what people actually think? No, like for the most part, it's really, you have to have a passion for it or else.
Yes.
Like, you don't do it for the money. If you do it for the money, like, you're in the wrong business.
I've lost thousands of dollars even just doing little ghetto albums the way I've been doing it. And the one I'm doing now, it's costing me money. When I don't have anywhere to rehearse, so I'm going to have to rent a place. That's going to cost money. Like, at the end of the day, if any money made is probably not going to even near equal what is spent, but that's not why I want to do it. It's like, I really want to get the buzz of playing live again. I think it's fun. And, you know, recording's a nightmare, you know, it's a lot of work, but when it's done, that's what's fun. When you listen to that finished record, it's like, oh yeah, that's the only reason to do it, you know, to have this little thing that you made, you know, and especially for me, writing all these little things myself, to see these things that I thought up in my head walking down the street come to fruition, I get a little bit of a buzz from that. So there's definitely passion. And I was never going to make another record, but, you know, not to cry the blues, but I had a few things happen in my personal life where it's like songs just started coming and I didn't have a choice. And I was almost like, God damn, that's a good song. I guess I have to work on this.
There you go.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes it is those like also events in life that is like, you know, you just need to get that out in some sort of artistic expression.
Sure.
So obviously you had the first album, Making the Most Out of Nothing at All, of 2017, and then you had Attempted Music 2023.
Yeah.
When can people be expecting new music from you?
Well, the new one's going to be called Diminished Returns, and every album title has been a joke because, like I said, I'm a little embarrassed that I'm a solo artist, so Making the Most Out of Nothing was me making fun of my talent or lack thereof. Same with Attempted Music. And Diminished Returns was supposed to be a joke about, you know, here I am doing another album. What am I going to get out of it? It's the law of diminished returns. But actually, because the record, it's sadly become a true thing because all the songs are about me giving all this love to these people that don't give it back to me. So it's the law of diminished returns. And then the joke of the album cover, on the first album cover, I'm wearing my makeup and I have my big hair and I have my gold jacket and everything. And this album, it's that gold jacket in a trash can, and that's what's going to be on the front of it, Diminished Returns. But there's also another part of that was all these girls that have broken my heart and everything. All of them came in all those years ago where, you know, they'd comment on my picture and get in my DMs when I had those glamour shots up on Facebook and whatnot. And it's, how do I want to say? It's like, yeah, that was fun, but it's the law of diminished returns. So it's like, pretty boy problems. Yeah, I got girls, but it always ended up a nightmare. And so that's kind of the joke of that being in the trash on the front of it, you know. And this one's going to be like, there's no goofy songs. Every one of them is really dead serious, but they have hooks. So I don't think anyone will notice how serious they are in contrast to some of the things on the other ones. And as far as it being done, I'd like to have it done by the end of the year. But because I'm playing virtually everything myself, except for the solos, I'm having my friends come in and do solos because I'm not much of a lead player. I mean, I'm probably not much of a rhythm player, but I get away with it. So I'd like to have it out by the end of this year. I'm trying my best, but, you know, sometimes as hard as I work, things need to be redone, and I want it to be good. So I'm not trying to take forever, but I'm trying to put as much effort into making it as good as I can, because I'm not like Max, you're a great guitar player. I'm not a great guitar player. I can get there, but I have to work at it. So sometimes it takes me hours to get a suitable take, but I'm committed enough to do it. So hopefully by the end of this year, it'll be out, and hopefully people like it. And I'd like to then form the band and get out and play.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing that, and seeing what the future holds for you. I'm excited to see that.
Well, thank you. And I hope great things keep happening for you. You seem to be out doing it and everything. And my God, you become a great guitar player. I'm like, wow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up?
No, I hope I wasn't too boring of an interview. Sometimes I could be entertaining. I was probably maybe a little too matter of fact this time, but
that's all right. Well, listen, I want to thank you for being a guest here on Gig Nightmares. Always a pleasure. Well, I mean, hell, I don't remember last time I actually talked to you, so it's great to catch up with you.
Yeah, you bet, Nate. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having the interest and letting me have a little plug for an upcoming album and things. And maybe I can con you to maybe I can con you into playing on a track, because I'm having guests on every track. Just anybody I know that can play a lead when the time comes.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. Just send me a message and I'll do it.
All right.
All right. Well, again, great catching up with you. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
You bet. See ya.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Gig Nightmares. Gig Nightmares is an independently produced podcast made possible by the support of listeners like you. If you enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate if you left a rating and a review for us. Gig Nightmares.